The history of the dark web, from military research to markets, media, and malware. The term dark web conjures images of shadowy bazaars and masked hackers, but its origins are neither criminal nor mysterious. The dark web is best understood as a privacy-preserving layer of the internet, one designed to separate identity from activity. Its roots lie in military-funded research into secure communications. Its rise rode the wave of open-source software and volunteer infrastructure, and its notoriety followed the marriage of hidden websites with cryptocurrencies. What began as a defense against surveillance has become a contested terrain where journalists and dissidents coexist with traffickers and extortion crews. This is the story of how it formed, evolved, and reshaped both crime and civic life online. In the mid-1990s, researchers at the US Naval Research Laboratory asked a deceptively simple question. How could two parties communicate over a public network without revealing who was talking to whom? Their answer was onion routing, a scheme that wraps messages in layers of encryption and bounces them through multiple relays so that no single relay knows both the sender and the receiver. The design was a breakthrough in traffic analysis resistance and, crucially, it made anonymity a network property rather than a feature of any single app. A few years later, the approach would be implemented in a publicly accessible system called Tor. The decision to open source the code and invite civilian adoption wasn't altruism alone. Anonymity works best when many ordinary users blend into a big crowd. Around the same time, developers were working on complementary ideas for anonymous publishing and messaging. Freenet experimented with a decentralized, censorship-resistant store and forward network where content would be split, encrypted, and cached across participating nodes. E2P, emerging from the Invisible IRC project, took a different tack, focusing on internal services and messaging that never touched the regular web. Together, these projects introduced a new design philosophy. Don't just encrypt the message, hide the metadata and the location of the server as well. Tor's public network went live in 2002, and soon after came the feature that would birth the dark web as we know it, hidden services, now called onion services. Tor originally protected users visiting normal websites. Onion services flipped the model by protecting the websites themselves. Instead of advertising a routable IP address, an onion service exposes only a cryptographic name ending in .onion. Clients and servers meet at a rendezvous point inside Tor. Neither side ever has to leave the network. Suddenly, anyone could host a site without revealing a physical location. Early adopters were hobbyists, activists, and curious technologists. Directories were small and fragile. Onion services came and went. Yet the potential was obvious. A resilient platform for private communication and publishing that didn't rely on any single company or country. The public's first close-up came from an unexpected alliance: hidden services and cryptocurrency. In 2011, the Silk Road marketplace opened on Tor and paired e-commerce mechanics escrow, ratings, dispute resolution with Bitcoin's pseudonymous payments. The market's real innovation was not contraband, but trust scaffolding in a place designed to reveal as little as possible about its participants. Buyers and sellers who would never meet could transact through reputational signals and moderated escrow. The site's growth was explosive, and so was the response. In 2013, the FBI shut Silk Road down. Its founder was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison. The message, however, could not be contained. The model onion address, escrow, PGP signed vendor pages, operational security checklists was copied within weeks. Markets proliferated, each promising better uptime, fairer arbitration, and stronger defenses against both thieves and the police. What followed was a global cat-and-mouse game that defined the mid-2010s. In 2014, Operation Onimus seized hundreds of onion domains and arrested several operators, including successors to Silk Road. The takedowns proved that hidden services weren't magic cloaks; human errors, undercover work, and hosting leverage could still pierce the veil. When Alphabet rose to dominance, a multinational investigation brought it down in 2017. In a daring twist, Dutch police quietly took over a rival, Hansa Market, and ran it for weeks, collecting evidence and de-anonymizing users before pulling the plug. Parallel to these actions, new investigative techniques matured. Bitcoin's ledger, once thought practically untraceable, became a forensic goldmine through clustering heuristics, exchange subpoenas, and improved analytics. In response, more vendors and markets shifted to privacy-preserving coins like Monero, which obscures amounts and addresses by default. Headlines often missed a quieter transformation: the dark web's civic turn. For journalists and human rights workers, Onion services solved real, urgent problems. Traditional tip lines and email inboxes leak metadata: who contacted whom, from where, and when. Secure Drop, built to run over Tor, let sources submit documents to newsrooms with minimal exposure. Major outlets launched Onion mirrors to give readers in censored regions more reliable access and to reduce the data trails created by routine visits. Even large platforms and government agencies experimented with Onion addresses to serve high-risk users in a safer way. This institutional adoption normalized Tor's presence in mainstream workflows and underscored a stubborn fact: the properties that protect criminals also protect whistleblowers and war-zone civilians. By the early 2020s, a different phenomenon began to dominate the dark web's front pages: ransomware. Professionalized crews adopted a two-part playbook: encrypt a victim's systems and exfiltrate sensitive data, then operated press offices on Onion services to name and shame organizations that refused to pay. These leak sites turned Tor into an extortion megaphone. Groups posted proof of theft, press releases, and countdown clocks, sometimes even searchable archives of stolen files. Law enforcement strategies evolved accordingly, mixing infrastructure seizures with sanctions on services that facilitated illicit finance. A landmark action in 2022 dismantled Hydra, then the largest Russian language market, and paired the takedown with sweeping financial blacklisting, yet the ecosystem proved elastic. New markets emerged. Ransomware crews rebranded. OPSEC guides grew thicker, so did indictments. Technically, the dark web hardened. Tor's migration from older v2 to v3 Onion services strengthened cryptography and made address spoofing harder. Operators adopted layered defenses: DDoS protection within Tor, frequent readdressing, and strict invite-only policies for forums. Payment flows diversified, with some markets going Monero only, and others outsourcing payment to specialized processors to keep keys off the main servers. Meanwhile, endpoint attacks became the weak link of choice. Rather than breaking Tor, investigators increasingly rely on compromising the human edge, infecting admin machines, infiltrating staff chat rooms, or persuading vendors to use traceable wallets. Misconceptions continue to swirl. The dark web is not the deep web. The latter encompasses any page a search engine can't index, from your webmail to corporate dashboards. The dark web is a small subset reached through anonymity networks. Nor is it massive in any stable, measurable sense. Services are deliberately ephemeral, and the absence of a comprehensive index is a feature, not a flaw. It is not exclusively criminal, either. Its reputation has been shaped by drug markets and extortion blogs precisely because those stories are visible and dramatic, while censorship-resistant journalism and safer access for at-risk users are quieter by design. Finally, Tor was not built for crime. It descended from government and academic research intended to protect sensitive communications. Its continuing health depends on a large ordinary user base that provides statistical cover for everyone. Today's dark web is a set of overlapping economies and communities that share a transport layer rather than a moral vision. There are markets, certainly volatile, competitive, and prone to exit scams. There are forums where reputations are painstakingly built through cryptographic signatures and escrow performance. There are onion mirrors of major news sites and NGOs that need to reach audiences behind firewalls or in war zones. And there are the megaphones of ransomware crews whose churn has turned onion services into a grim ticker of corporate breaches. The struggle is less about algorithms than about people and money, who can keep their operational discipline, who slips, and who controls the choke points of cashing out. Where the dark web goes next will be shaped by four forces. First, protocol diversity. Tor remains dominant, but alternatives like I2P continue to evolve, each with distinct latency and routing trade-offs. Second, crypto friction. Exchanges face tighter compliance, privacy coins face delistings, and wallet providers screen flows pressures that will push illicit actors toward peer-to-peer swaps, cross-chain bridges, or in-house mixes. Third, endpoint warfare. Investigators will keep targeting browsers, servers, and administrators because breaking people is easier than breaking math. Fourth, civic expansion. As censorship spreads and newsroom security becomes routine, more organizations will mirror critical services over Onion to protect their users and themselves. If there is a single lesson to draw from 3 decades of development, it is that anonymity technologies are profoundly dual use. The same design that lets a nurse in a repressive regime read the news without risking arrest also lets a trafficker hide behind a seller handle. Neither police action nor protocol tweaks will resolve that tension. What will persist is the equilibrium. Each new safeguard invites a countermeasure, each breakthrough in forensics pushes innovation back into the shadows, and ordinary users seeking nothing more than privacy against ubiquitous surveillance continue to provide the cover traffic that keeps the network viable. The dark web is not an aberration grafted onto the internet. It is a reminder that privacy, once considered a default of everyday life, now requires deliberate engineering, constant vigilance, and an ever-shifting balance between freedom and abuse.